I really thought I was going to be able to move on from the sobriety stuff and talking about that stuff, and wouldn't you know it, we're right back here again. Damn it.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to get comfortable. Just, grab a snuggie, lay down by the fire, and just enjoy sobriety talk.
Grab a snuggie and give me a huggy.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Southern Goots. What's up, dude?
Third episode of the night. This is
Inter-
uncharted territories. Just buckle up, everybody. We don't know what's going on anymore. We're delusional.
Yeah, we're catching up from last week. Old Shoots had a little vacay, so we're making up for lost time. And we have been sitting in these chairs for 3 hours now, 3.5.
Just about 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the end of this, it'll be probably close to 5. So hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
Rip off the Band-Aid and jump right in. What do you say?
We're not, let's not waste any time.
No more preamble.
No, we're good. So Southern Charm. Southern Charm. It's a great season. It really is a great season. And I'm enjoying a lot of the things that we're getting. And I think that we talk about it weekly, but it's just because we're returning to roots. But I think something else with this season that's kind of nice is watching these friendships. That's something I've always loved about this show, is how close they actually are. But watching the friendships and just relationships in general kind of mature into what they are now, primarily like Austen and Madison is a great example. Just the chaos that this show is and the journey that we've been on to harbor these relationships, it's giving us what we're seeing now, if that makes any sense. If you see where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, I fully understand where you're trying to go. We actually make the claim in certain shows that we need them to be closer as friends. We want them to actually hang out. This group, they might be too close. They might just be a little too close. Maybe separate a little bit. Don't hang out all the time because it's getting too chaotic out there. And I think this has a way different feel than the last couple seasons where we have to talk about Austen and Craig and, Shep's involvement and are they friends? What are they doing? This is like we're finally getting into it. We're finally actually burrowing deep into the psyche that goes behind them being friends. And they've been together and doing this show and doing other things for fucking like 12 years now. Like there's so much to uncover. And I feel like that's what really was annoying for the last couple of seasons is that we were still doing surface level stuff and they weren't having deep conversations. And I know that we're talking about not only just dudes, but dudes in their 40s who just will not let go of their youth. So it's going to be a lot harder to get there. But I think that this one at least has a different feel. And I'm going to say, I think it's the supporting cast. I think it's Rod. I think it's in Madison's not supporting cast, but I think it's Rodrigo. I think it's now obviously with the addition of Charley being a voice of reason in some ways. That's the way to get people to talk about things. That's the way to get these dudes to talk about it is have some sort of level-headed, beautiful girl sit down with them.
Exactly.
And then they think they're still flirting with you. But in reality, we're finally getting to the nitty-gritty of what the hell is going on with these friendships.
I think that's perfectly said. And with that, we'll jump right into this episode. And it's the aftermath of Craig's freak out. I'm going to take a little side tangent. There's people online that are like, I get where Craig's coming from. I'm fucking floored. I don't understand at all. But we'll talk about that some more later. Austen is rattled. Obviously, he's like, what the fuck just happened? And he's pointing out, like, he can't handle any jabs. Like, he wants to poke, but like, you say one fucking thing. It's World War III. It's a little ironic he calls him an insecure man boy, but they all are. So that
they all
whatever.
Are. Yeah.
As they start to get into everything, we get dinner, which is a great spread, obviously. The cracks in the group are interesting right now because obviously Venita feels some type of way about Craig, given everything that's gone on over the past 6 to 8 months or so. But the fuel to the fire is different than we've seen because she goes over to Austen to like give him a hug and be like, hey, I'm on your team. She's like, yeah, I'm team. You can beat his ass. I'm like, whoa, okay. Like I get where you're coming from, but I don't think we need to be getting. I don't think she actually meant like fuck him up. I just meant it's it's going to a level between those two. In the past, we've seen the group try to mediate from the outside. Hey, you guys need to figure this out. We all love you. You need to figure this out. You love each other, whatever. We're now at a point where it's gotten so polarizing and so intense that we're forced to pick sides.
Yeah.
But not us, but the people on the cast are now having to go, oh, well, I'm Team Austen or I'm Team Craig.
I don't think that the cast even realizes at this point in time how intertwined they all are. Like they
Right.
all do have their own shit going on. And obviously you can use a flow chart. If somebody was so nice enough to make us a goddamn flow chart, we need
Please.
them, please. But that being said, you've got Venita mad at Craig, but then you've also got the Venita and Sally issue. Now we've got the Molly and Sally issue. And obviously we know about Austen and Craig. Everybody is really involved in this, but I don't think they understand how many layers there are to it. Because once you start resolving some of these issues, you're going to get to the bigger issues. You're going to get back into Austen and Craig and what's actually going on there. Are they causing the divide? Yes, they are. But for the most part, they're not really causing it actively. It's not like they're walking around saying, fuck this guy, fuck her. I don't really care what the hell's going on here. You got to be on my side or you're on the wrong team. They're just playing things out, and it's getting so magnetizing that it's drawing everybody else in, but they also have their own issues with other people on either side. So it's very interesting. There's like it's kind of like the main storyline is Austen and Craig, but there's other little things weaving in and out that are adding to it. So it's getting worse. And maybe that's why we're actually having sit downs with Austen. We're having sit downs with Craig talking about this and what we really need to resolve, because other people are actually involved. Like you said, usually it's the outside looking in. This time it's, well, I'm actually involved in this because I've got an issue with Sally. I'm involved in this because I've got an issue with Molly. I don't realize how they're actually related, but they really are. And it's kind of interesting in that regard.
It's like a perfect storm that's been 12 years in the making. As you said,
Yeah.
like early on, this has been building up and building up and building up. And last season was, I think, the caveat that kind of forced this because of Craig's big
Right.
life altering changes, because of who he was. I think what we needed for this to finally come to a head to where we're going to resolve it, whether they're friends or not after the fact, is irrelevant. We're going to figure this out this season. I think because you saw Craig make so many drastic changes over the past few years, he's done really well for himself, right? Like we were praising him last year, 2 years ago. Look at Craig. Good for him. He's got his shit together. His business is going great. Loving relationship. Like, wow, he really looked in the mirror. Like we talked about that for years, legit.
Yeah.
We had to see the mask fall off. Now, I will say this. I promise all of you, I'm going to be really fucking hard on Craig all season, right? Because of what he's doing and because of what he did last year. I don't think he's a horrible fucking guy.
No.
I actually, when he said, I feel like I'm misunderstood. In that situation, what a ridiculous, stupid thing to say. Like that, no, you're not. You're just being a fucking asshole. I do think that in the grand scheme of things, I think he does get misunderstood. So I will actually give him that. But you don't do yourself any favors because you claim to have done all this work. You claim to be this new person. The minute that whoever was holding you down, being Paige, is out of the picture, you revert back. So what that tells us, you changed for Paige. You didn't change for yourself. That's why it's not sticking. And that's why we're seeing the old Craig come back out. But for Austen and Craig to have been able to get to this point where we're going to get some resolution, good, bad, or otherwise, we had to have Craig have that fall from grace to be like, no, this is the motherfucker I can't stand. I can't fucking stand you. And I can't stand you either, Austen. Boom. We have to have them at their actual who they are to be able to resolve this thing once and for all.
Yeah. And when it comes to even just at Whitner's party, when all of it happened, yes, Austen is making little comments here and there. It might be jealousy. It might just be that he really is pissed off because he went through all of that with Craig. But I wish that he could understand that perspective that you just laid on us, which is he didn't actually make those changes. And that's the thing too. Craig didn't actually understand that. He thought that he was making all of these changes for the better. But in reality, it was just something that was inhibiting him. And he just accepted his fate. And then he looked at it like, I've got this whole new life where I like to do all of these things. No, you're doing all of these things because you're afraid of losing Paige, but you actually don't even realize that. You're worried that if you do cut loose and try to be your own self, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with who you are. But there is something wrong when you flip and say, I have a problem with alcohol and I'm an alcoholic to one of your best friends to try to explain to him why he can't be mad at you, and then come back this year and ignore all of it. You don't now get to just sit there and say, you're mad at me and you're jealous that I'm not in a relationship and I get to go have fun. The real Craig is the one who said, when you're making jabs at me being in a hot tub with two other girls, with Shep and another girl, I don't really feel bad because I'm having fun. I'm having a great time. That is who you are. That's what you wanted. You just had this whole little side life for a little while, and now you're back to where you are. And if you could just accept that, I think that it would go along with Austen. And I don't think that Austen would make those jabs. And I think it would actually go a long way with the group. If you just said, look, I don't know what the fuck I want. And I clearly weren't making those changes for me. I was making it for my relationship. And now I'm a little lost again. And I'm just trying to find my way through it. I think a lot of people in the group would be like, that totally makes sense. We fucking understand. But you have to have the wherewithal and you have to be able to verbalize it so that other people can understand. And then, yes, if you get Austen making these jabs, which again, he was jabbing. And then when Craig explodes, you don't then get to say, whoa, I didn't do anything. You were making jabs to try to get a rise out of him.
Right.
Come on. Like, we all know you were doing that. So just accept that. But then when Austen's making those jabs, if you've come clean with everybody in the group, you might have a couple people in the group say, all right, just lay off of him. Like, let him figure this shit out. And if he needs us, he needs us. If he doesn't need us, it's going to be something else. But we don't have to hang out with him if we don't want to be around this kind of person. That's all we need to get to. And I hope that they're getting there. And I hope that Craig is getting there because Craig is being extremely unlikable. And I want him to be likable because I do like Craig. But in this moment, in this whatever phase of life he's in right now, he's incredibly unlikable because he's not just admitting to us and to himself what he's going through. It's completely normal that you're going through a weird breakup. You thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with Paige. Now you're out partying with Sally. That's okay. Go ahead. Have fun. Just don't be an asshole about it.
Well, it's also not okay, though, with no acknowledgement whatsoever of you coming out as an addict last season to Austen crying on the beach while drunk, by the way. Fast forward to this year, but this could be part of his journey, okay? If we want to go that route, all right? Sobriety and the path to it does not look the same ever. And a lot of people, the vast majority, relapse and falling off the wagon is part of it. So I'm not condemning him for that. Where I condemn him, where I get so fucking angry and frustrated, is that he takes this holier than thou approach when he's reprimanding Austen and talking shit to him. Like, you're just so jealous because I'm having fun and I'm staying up late and partying. It's like, brother, last year, that exact sentence, you would have looked at Austen and been like, that's fucking pathetic. You cannot play both sides of the street, and you can't use recovery as your crutch to try to get Austen to feel bad for you if you're going to turn around and get fucking wasted and yell at him. And then when all the dust settles, you still claim that you're not in the wrong. That's where I get so fucking frustrated. And that's where I really genuinely hope. He clearly has some issues with alcohol. I will never say anyone's an alcoholic because I'm not going to make those claims. I'm not in his head. But you made those claims, dude. You told us you were. So how on earth can you go through these things? You said that you've taken the steps to address, like, actually being in recovery. You've actually, like, looked up the literature. You've read about it. You've tried to practice some of these things. Well, fuck you. No, you haven't. Because if you had, when this stuff's going on, you'd be able to recognize, oh shit, these are things from my past coming back into my present. I'm falling off. I'm relapsing. Oh my God. But instead of that, you're justifying drinking in a hot tub till 4 a.m. That's so frustrating. And it's so annoying because you want to shake him and be like, hey, dickhead, do you see what happens to you and your life and the people around you when you drink? Because this is what you claimed the reason was for stopping. And yet here you are, not only doing it, but you're double, tripling down and justifying it while everyone around you is rolling their eyes and walking away from you. You're physically seeing people remove themselves from your life. That's what you're watching right now. And yet at no point have we had any moment where he sits down with anybody and says, you know what? I'm trying. I don't know what's going on. My life is crazy right now. I thought I was doing this. Now Paige is gone. And then I thought I wanted to drink again. I thought I could handle it. something to acknowledge that I'm not fucking nuts, that you're not using sobriety and recovery as this weird fucking gameplay, because that's abhorrent and that fucking pisses me off. I've done this now every episode this season, but I can't help it because I see this shit and I want to fucking shake them and be like,
Yeah.
this is not okay. And you, of all people, when you all last year got on this soapbox and tried to tell everyone else how to live their life. You told Austen what he was doing wrong. You told Shep what he was doing wrong. You probably told Paige what she was doing wrong. You did all of that, preaching this bullshit that you don't actually believe in. And then when we get to this season, and the whole point of recovery and sobriety being doing it for yourself, doing it on your own, recognizing your own flaws and doing what you can to correct those things, you preached that shit to us, the audience, last year. Fast forward to now, it's gone. Not you're referencing it and you're trying to figure it's gone. That's not how this shit works.
I think that's the worst part about all of this, is that he's acting like it didn't happen.
Yes.
And now he's using the things that people have said in the past about him going through that journey. It clearly wasn't a journey. Like, you were doing it for your relationship, and then you would get so mad when people would comment on it and say, well, he's just doing this to stay with Paige. You would say, this is my journey. This is what's going on. If it truly was your journey, then you would be talking about it still, is your whole point. And you're not. You're just ignoring it and acting like it's not there. And to make matters worse, you're going to sit here and say, I just can't handle it when Austin's making those little jabs. And you guys all see it. He's sitting there making all these jabs. You did something way worse. You stood up in front of a whole party and cameras and said, I can blow up your life right now with something that Shep said. That is two-parter, very bad. You saying it on camera and to everybody else, and then including Shep, who's not involved in this. And I get that, yeah, you guys are all going to go around and start gossiping about things. That's how this whole group works. You guys hear things from fans, you hear things from people that you see on the street, and then you go and run and tell somebody else. And you're like, I just don't know what to do with this. Like, you're giddy at the prospect that somebody may have seen Austen making out with somebody in New York, or somebody saw a friend or whatever with Austen on a date. That's what gets you guys going. And I understand that you talk about that, and I've accepted that, and that's cool. But to blow it up in front of a party because he made a jab about you being in a hot tub, why? And now you're going to play the victim and say, oh, I just can't handle what Austin's doing. He's not doing that much. You can fucking immediately brush it off and move forward with your life, but you choose not to. You choose to blow up. You choose to then throw his whole life into the fucking trash because you're mad at him for making a comment. That makes you a bad person. That makes you a terrible friend. So I don't understand. All of these things just point back to there's no self-awareness. There's just simply no self-awareness. And worse than that, I think, he doesn't care that there's no self-awareness. He's finding ways to then move forward and say, you guys can't talk about that. I can talk about that. But then you don't talk about it. So it's insane to me.
Completely agree. And it's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating to watch and witness because of what's happening, because of the fact that your big play here, which is one of the softest lines I've ever heard. If you're going to stand up and say shit like this, oh yeah, well, Shep can say something that's going to ruin your life. I'll get Shep to do it. What? Okay, tough guy. What are you talking about? That's
Shep's doing your dirty work.
And now poor Shep is like, oh, fuck. And like, that's the thing. Like, what happened wasn't even a thing. And even Shep says that. He's like, okay, well, hold on. He's like, it happened in New York. There was like two girls came up, these two moron girls or something come up to me and just say, Austin's talking to my friend. I said immediately, nope, shut up. Don't want to hear it. Bye. Yeah. Okay. That's not that bad at all.
No, it's
but
not.
Craig is acting as though he walked into a hotel room and saw Austen in a love trapezoid. That's not what happened.
Nope.
So you blow it up. You throw Shep under the bus. Poor Shep. Because yes,
I felt
he's wrong.
so bad for Shep this episode.
I did too, but like, that was fucking ridiculous to call Craig of all people right after that. And I love that he's like, should I protect his peace? And Craig's, of course, is like, nah, man, protect his peace. But I don't think it was with malicious intent, but it doesn't matter because you're still spreading bullshit. So like,
and you guys have been on this show and part of this network for so long that I'm sure you've heard a million different things that have happened. And we've watched Shep when he was with Taylor talking to girls at the bar, flirting with them and getting drinks. That seems like something that, if it played out on camera, you're going to have to answer for it. You don't just get stopped by two people in the middle of the street in New York City, of all places, where everybody knows you. People who watch Bravo, they see you, they know that they can just throw something out there and it's going to get talked about. It's just stupid. It's incredibly stupid.
Exactly, right? And so for Craig to then act like it's this fucking big deal, and in his head it is, right?
Yeah.
And like that's something that I think drags him down a lot too. You can't exacerbate a situation in your head just because you think it's bad. And I
Nope.
think that the biggest issue between Austen and Craig on both sides, they're both constantly comparing themselves to each other, right?
Yeah.
I'm better than him because I don't do this. Well, I'm better than him because I don't do this. So when they get that little nugget, it's more Craig. I don't want to throw Austen under the bus with this one because Austen does typically try to stay in his lane. His problem is the jabs, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're constantly comparing back and forth. So when one gets some information like, ooh, leg up. Oh, yeah. Well, now I got a leg up on you because I heard you did this. Their missteps make the other one feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why this relationship has gotten so toxic. It's because it's this constant nitpicking of each other to find a gap in the armor to be like, ha, see, told you, rather than what friends should do, which is in those moments be like, hey, man, you're doing that thing again. Hey, man,
Yep.
I'm a little concerned with your drinking. You're getting fiery again. And I don't want to see that happen after all the work you put in. They're doing what friends do, but instead of taking those moments to be helpful, they're taking those moments to tear each other down.
Exactly.
And speaking of, they start talking to each other in the kitchen. It's like, why did you get so mad? I barely said anything. Sure, but you were trying to poke him and prod him to get a reaction. Not that reaction, but you were trying to get some kind of reaction. Here's what drives me nuts about Craig. Austen, this is what you did. Craig, you're going through something. Nope, that's different. You
Yeah.
changed the game. Don't comment on what what the fuck.
It's insane. It's a fucking merry-go-round. Like, that's
Yep.
all it is. And I can't imagine that anybody expected this conversation to go any differently, especially with the two of them in the state that they're in right now. Like, finding a way to have the two of them sit down and discuss this is crazy to me. If I'm Austin, I'm just walking out. I'm like,
Same.
absolutely not. We're not doing any of this. I'm not talking about this. I just heard what the quote unquote rumor was from Shep. I don't care. I don't have time for this. I know where this is going to go. Let's just move on. But of course, it's like you said, it's just going to be one up. It's just constant one ups. It's constant. You don't want to be in your relationship. Now I've got a smoking gun over here that says you don't want to be in your relationship because you're talking to somebody in New York. It's not a smoking gun. It's absolutely nothing. The fact that we're getting all in a tizzy about this is crazy to me.
Exactly. And they don't reach any kind of resolve because, as Austen says, are you upset because I said, oh, Craig hung out with two hot girls in his hot tub? Like, don't be a pussy. And
Yeah.
Craig's like, well, you said you're scared of me. It's like, look in the mirror right now, brother. Why would he say that? Why is Charley going to say the same thing later in so many words? I think
No, it's
that's
the same thing that
frustrating.
we've always seen. It's Austin at least getting to a point where he's trying to just talk about the here and now, and he has a
Yeah.
hard time just verbalizing, okay, you told me that you were an alcoholic, you told me you were an addict, and I'm seeing the tendencies. Like, Austin's never going to have that conversation. And it is because he's afraid of Craig. But Craig is bringing up things from the reunion last year. Craig is bringing up things from last season. So you do remember all of these things, but you don't remember the part that you played in any of it. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Correct. Exactly. But outside, we get to get more into the Sally issue, which woof. I mean,
Yeah.
it's entertaining, but woof, she's having a
Yeah.
tough go.
Oh my God.
Because
Yeah.
Sally tells the group, she's like, I did tell him to apologize. And clearly you're feeling insecure about this because you brought it up to the table and then went a step further and said to Molly, oh, you thought I was flirting with him? We all did.
Yeah.
Because you were.
Still do. We still
Right.
do, by the way. All you're doing by trying to like stroke his back and calm him down does nothing.
No.
That just shows us that you're playing this from a different angle. It's not that you're trying to be a good friend. Now, there are other people in this group that are stepping up and being good friends. You can look at Rodrigo. You can look at Molly, who now, yeah, she has her own issue with Sally, but she's just trying to get to a point where it's like, okay, this is bad behavior. Let's try to fix it, or at least make everybody aware of what's going on. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. what you're trying to accomplish is banging him. What you're trying to accomplish
Yeah,
is dating him. And you're doing it from, yeah, okay. You told him that he should apologize. Yeah, okay. You told him that he shouldn't have erupted in front of everybody, but you're doing it in the sweetest voice possible. You're doing it in the, I can be your support person. Just come on. I'll come over to the hot tub. We can talk about this. Everybody can see that.
exactly. And clearly you feel insecure about that because you bring it up to Molly.
Yeah.
Molly co-signs, as everyone does at the table, and she's like, "Well, I heard you had some words about me. I don't want to start anything." Well, that's not true because that's what you're doing right now. Oh, you could have just shrugged it off because you could have said, "Oh, you thought I was flirting? No, no, I was just telling you to apologize."
Yep.
Period. That would work. But instead, you're doing this, and then you go after Molly. Who didn't come after you? She defended herself. Molly says, "Yeah, because you were coming for me." Cut over to the scene of Madison telling Molly that Sally snitched on her for being drunk at the party and being a little
Yeah.
messy. Weird thing to do as adults. Okay, though, you want to start that. You threw the first stone. When have I ever come for you?
Right now.
Right now.
Right now,
Literally
and
right
actually
now.
for the last like 3 events that we've had, you've been talking to other people about why you've got an issue with me. So
Mhm.
yeah, you are coming for me. And I love that Molly just stands on business too, because she can sit there and say whatever she wants. She can float things out there. Yes, she does say, "Well, you're drunk like you are all the time." Okay. All right. Little funny, but whatever. But all she says is, "All I told Madison was what you told me verbatim. All I did was say," and she never really gets to it, which I kind of wanted. I wanted this thing to just completely spin out of control. If Molly had said, "I told Madison what you said about Austin and Audrey," and anybody caught wind of it, then we'd all be talking about that. But she has I guess she's well reserved in that regard, that she doesn't want to talk about it because it's already spun out of control in her brain. And I'm okay with that because that is something that Molly's probably going to be able to do. But I still would have loved it if she just ripped the band-aid off. Like, here, let's talk about this.
I mean, it's going to come out at some point, obviously. And
I
I
think
think that
Madison's probably going to take matters into her own hands.
without a doubt, that one's going to come up for sure. And I think Molly did herself a lot of favors by not launching that bomb. I think
Yeah.
that you would have lost control of the situation. I think it would have taken such a hard left turn. And she's winning right now handedly. She's
Yeah.
calm. She's just, so I don't think she needs that one. That's a good one to keep in the back pocket because that's like World War III shit. But it is fascinating to see her not be able to get out of her own way. You're saying that I called dibs? On who? Everybody at the table has a reaction.
Yeah.
Literally, the whole table reacts to that. They're like, "What?" And Venita hugs, is it Whitner? Or it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Hugs somebody. She's like, "Oh, Craig. Oh, Craig." She's like, I, did, I, I didn't call dibs on Craig. Yeah, huh? Even
How
Charlie's
does
making
she
faces.
how does she think that she's being sly about that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You can't sit there with multiple people and say, I would make out with Austin the day after him and Audrey break up. You can't sit there and say, "Well, yeah, we went to his hot tub, but he didn't make a move," and then send Shep a text. Like, everybody's talking about this, and yet you think that no one knows? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Incredibly funny to watch. Do
Oh,
really
yeah,
enjoy watching it because this
sure.
is a delusion on a different level, but I love that.
I do too. And to watch the group explain it to her in like kindergarten terms. So, like,
Yeah.
well, you did say, because I never said Charlie can't talk to Craig. You did tell her to talk to you first. That implies not to talk to him. No,
Mhm.
no, not landing. Okay. You look great. Like, what the fuck? It's
Right.
fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. But Molly gets a few digs in, especially in the confessional. She's like, talks about her getting her validation and self-worth from men. And I mean, that's gonna sting when she watches that one back.
Mhm.
But Sally doesn't, like, again, no favors done for herself because then she goes to her confessor. She's like, I'm just being in a hot tub, living my life. Right. Yes, exactly. That's why we're having this conversation, is because you're in the hot tub living your life with Craig. No,
Yeah.
still not there. Nope. Okay, fine. You look great. I don't know what else.
I just don't understand what she really has to lose at this point by
Right.
not just admitting it and just plainly saying, Yeah, I'm going after Craig. He's single. This isn't a problem. I understand that Venita has problems with him and will work through that, but he's hot, single, and we seem to like each other. I don't really see what the issue is here, guys. That would do her so many favors, but she can't quite get there because she still thinks that she's being sneaky, which doesn't make any sense.
None at all. But as this is going on, Austen and Craig are still talking, and Shep decides to join the conversation. Austen still doesn't know. Does he know what happened at
I
this
think Shep
juncture?
told him first.
Oh, yeah. No, Shep
Yeah.
hasn't told him yet. Shep told
Oh,
Craig.
God.
Austen's talking to Craig. So Shep comes in, and Austen's like, okay, what do you know? Craig, completely serious, goes, oh, I don't want any part of this. My brother in Christ, you did this.
Yeah.
You brought it up. This wouldn't be happening if you kept your fucking mouth shut, but you couldn't help yourself. But now you simply can't bear to bear witness to this cheating scandal? What the fuck? I was flummoxed, especially when he goes outside and he goes, I can't believe he's telling him.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
I can't even fathom it, honestly. I can't even have a discussion to try to figure out what he was trying to do here or why he did it, because it just simply doesn't make any sense. And the only thing I can come up with is he can do all of this. He's all bark, no bite, maybe something along those lines kind of makes a little bit of sense. But even then, once you start talking about it, it doesn't make any sense. There, like nothing he's doing is making any sense to anyone. So
Nope.
I don't understand how people aren't now. And I know where it started. And you can look at Austen and say, stop at the jabs. And you can look at Craig and say, don't blow up at simple jabs here and there. But once it gets down to it, at this point, at this juncture, everybody at that party should be looking at Craig like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What's going
They
on?
are.
Like, what is this? But he doesn't have that. He
I
still
know.
thinks that Austen's in the wrong. And
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. So the whole thing is just a complete mess at this point.
Well, it gets a hell of a lot worse for one person, and shockingly not Craig. I mean, Craig's still down there, but Sally continues this gradual, more like drastic plummet down, because she goes up to Craig when he comes back outside, and Craig, being Craig's, like, this is where he says the misunderstood line and this and that, which again, I agree that he's misunderstood in situations, not this situation.
Yeah.
Picking and choosing, but he's talking to Sally. He's like, I'm not going to be gaslit into thinking I did anything wrong. I just noticed when people aren't doing what they want to do. Who made you the group therapist, sir? Who made you the group psychologist? What are you
know what it
talking
is?
about?
He's still speaking from a place of I've got
Last
it all
year.
figured out. Yeah. Like he's speaking from that place of I've got my end all be all. I've got the rest of my life completely set. So I'm going to be up here on my pedestal looking down at you saying, you better figure it the fuck out. You have no idea what you're doing. But he's doing it from a place of not knowing what he's doing. So it's really funny. It's a very interesting crossover where he hasn't quite abandoned that way of thinking and he still thinks that he's always in the right. And now I gotta I want to go back to the early seasons of Southern Charm when he clearly had nothing going for him to see if he still had that. And maybe this is just the normal Craig. Maybe what we saw was just him being a little bit more sober, him having a good life with Paige, trying to figure out how to do the rest of his life, but he was still thinking that way. And now he's right back to where he was, and he's still thinking that way, that he's better than everybody else. So it is a very funny thing to watch unfold because it makes no sense. Once again, this is where we are with Craig.
And it's still not the worst thing that happens this scene, because then Sally's like, this is the misunderstood line. I feel misunderstood a lot and people come after me a lot. Okay. Sally, who, by the way, at one point in this night told him to apologize and also talked with the other castmates agreeing that Craig went off the rails.
Yeah.
Sally now goes, you don't deserve that. You're literally so great. Boo. Boo. I literally wrote down, holy shit. What are you doing? Because you're going to watch this and you're going to see yourself do this.
Do you think that the fact that she and he did not have sex, that this kind of like fucked with her mind?
Yes.
Like that might actually be some of it, where she now thinks like she has to do as much as possible to get back into his good graces because she must have done something. We got to get over that line. We got to get over that barrier where you will want to have sex with me, because that's what I need right now. And for some reason, we're not quite there. So I'm going to do everything in my power to go ahead and do this. I think it did. I honestly do think that it broke something in her brain.
I think it sent her down this path. Yeah. I think she's confused and doesn't know what to do. And so
Yeah.
she's just siding with the villain at the moment, which is never a good look, especially the way that she decided to do it.
Yeah.
But the party starts to wrap up. People are starting to leave because Craig's making people so uncomfortable. They're literally leaving the party. Madison, who is sober, is seeing this in a whole different light, which I'm sure is very eye-opening. She's like,
Yeah.
Jesus, she's gone. Rodrigo starts to gather his shit. Venita bounces because now Sally and Craig are pissing her off. So she leaves. Austen's talking to Shep, and I did feel bad because Shep's like, he's just trying to do anything to get Austen to not be mad. He's like, he's a friend of, I was just calling for advice. He's a friend of ours. He's like, is he? He's so rowdy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore.
I did feel this is like the start of just feeling bad, really bad for Shep, because
it always happens.
He really doesn't know. He has no idea how he got involved in this. He didn't expect any of this to pop off. He doesn't know if Austen's going to be mad at him forever because he heard something and told Craig of all people. It's just, he's at such a loss. He's just completely flummoxed. He's just completely out of it. I don't know. Don't be mad at me. I didn't do it.
No, he's not my friend. I love you, Austen. Hug me. No, it's like Shep has shepped himself into a corner, and I feel like it happens every season. You eventually feel bad for him for something stupid. But Austen gets the last word, and he's like, oh, so the only way I can have peace is by being single and chasing pussy? Like, fuck you guys. And he bounces. Boom. See ya. Great last line. Shep is literally speechless. He's very upset that this went the way it did. He's so perplexed. He's not even mad at Craig yet. Like, he's not even remotely mad at Craig yet, which is where his anger should be. But instead, he's just scared that Austen is never going to talk to him again. And if it couldn't finish on a worse note, that's the wrong way to say that. And you'd think it wouldn't finish on a worse note. But you don't know this season of Southern Charm because it goes back outside with Dumb and Dumber. Sally and Craig are sitting there chit-chatting some more. I tried my hardest to stay out of it with those two. This is a Shep thing. You fuck. You said I am going to ruin your life via Shep. Shep, tell him what you said. Tell him what you told me. You put all of this in motion. And the worst part is the next day, which we're not there yet. I'm just jumping ahead a little bit. When you tell Sally you apologized, or Charley, or whoever you're hanging out with, no, you didn't, one. And two, even the next day, you're not acknowledging, like, oh, yeah, I threw Shep under the bus. That wasn't my thing. And then I put all the blame on him and Austen. None of this was, how crazy of me. How ridiculous to do all of those crazy things. Like, I don't know. It's very strange. Like, it's super entertaining, but like, it's
incredibly entertaining bizarre. Because we don't know what to think about it. Like, there's just nothing here to go off of because we can't even like understand where he's coming from at all.
No.
And the fact that he basically did the Shep tell him, and then as soon as Shep tells him, I can't believe he told him. Why would he do that?
I'm not sticking around for this. You're going to ruin his life. Exactly. Oh my God, Shep, don't. It'll be the end of him. What the fuck, dude? Like, and that's another reason. Like, if this is what booze does to you, stop drinking. Holy shit. Like, unbelievable. But yeah, that's just the first scene. And we are 40 minutes into this episode, but not a whole lot happens after that. Except this is the scene. This is the scene. And I wonder how many other people caught it, because the whole time I was like, wait a minute. So it's at Whitner's, right? And they try to set it up like he's Ashton Hall. You and I talked about this earlier.
Yep.
The guy that does that crazy schedule on Instagram, whatever, with the Saratoga water. So it's like 4:30. It says 4:30 in the bottom of the screen, and Whitner is narrating. Up every day at 4:30, big ritual guy. He picked up his phone, and the phone said 6:28. 6:28 a.m. But fucking Bravo is going to try to trick us You think we're stupid? Because now don't go yet. The whole day, this whole morning routine is a fucking lie. So I don't even know if I believe that he does this every day. So 4:30 wake up, 5 a.m. gym or what. I thought he was doing a bit. I thought this was a bit. Lets the dog out. Then he does his meditation at 7 a.m. He's out the door at 8. None of this timeline tracks, sir, unless you did everything for 2 minutes because you woke up at 6:30 and you got out the door at 8:07. So don't piss on me and tell me it's raining, pal. I like you a lot, Whitner, but this doesn't track and I need some answers.
Let me try real quick.
Lay it on me.
My
if you say military time, I'm going to kick you in the
That is what I said earlier. No. So my thought was right away, and I didn't see his cell phone, but now this makes sense. My thought right away was, oh man, those poor cameramen that have to go into his room and act like he's waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Like they had to wake these people up to go over to Whitner's just to film his routine in the morning. That sounds awful. My thought is they didn't actually go at 4:30, but they went over at 6:30 and said, all right, you're already done your workout. You already let the dog out, whatever. Just lay down, act like you're waking up. And then we'll just put this back in and we'll time code it so that it actually meets with what you're doing. Because I like Whitner. I don't think he would lie to our faces like that. At least I
love Whitner. I love Whitner. And I also
But you think he would lie to our faces?
Yeah. So now I'm like, Whitner, what the hell? I thought we were cool, dude. We're going to have to try to get him on here and he can, that's what we need to do. Let's see if we can get Whitner to come on and he can explain this to me, because I'll give you credit. That's a
when
sure.
Did you record? Did you not hear his routine?
That's a good point. Yeah, there's no time for us. No time for us in there unless we record at 3:30. No, I think that it's a novel idea, but the fact that you think that a production company wouldn't tell cameramen to be on site at 4:30 in the morning, that's where that one falls apart for me. But anyway, he goes through his fake ass routine. I ain't buying it, but he's in transactional law. Something. What did you say? Now you're smirking.
I said, HIPAA. HIPAA.
Oh. Exactly. That's it.
It always comes back
to HIPAA, OSHA, HIPAA, you name it.
It's all the same.
Bells and whistles. Transactional law. So he does like contracts and all that stuff. And he FaceTimes his mom. He says he's a mama's boy. I thought this was a bit of a scene too, only because when she answers the phone and goes, "What's up?" I was like, oh, she doesn't know the drill yet. You're supposed to act like, I'm filling her in. Like, this is what we do. This is our banter. Yeah. I do believe he's a mama's boy. I do believe they love each other very much.
He's the good version of a mama's boy, not like JT was, where that was very creepy and weird and we didn't know what the hell was going on. This is just like the good Southern boy, mama's boy type of vibe. That's what I got from this. Apparently they're fucking loaded, by the way. What are they doing over in the south of France, just showing off a castle and then coming back, showing us, what did they say, 55 acres or something, with like a beautiful house?
Frizzy Farms or some shit where he grew up. Yeah, and then they're sitting on the back porch, and she's like, "I bought that house for you right there. You're supposed to." Her leaning into the fiance leaving him is probably my favorite bit.
Yeah,
you were supposed. Might not happen now. It's like, whoa, hell yeah! And I know she's referencing like, "Are you ever going to get married?" But it probably stings a little bit more when he was about to, and then his fiance left. She's like, "That's my boy." You loser.
Still got that house over there, but you can't get in there unless you show up with a fiance. So
that big, beautiful house.
Work on that.
I like Whitner a lot, though. And I very much ship him and Venita. I love that he gave Venita her props at the dinner. Where he's like, by the way, this is all Venita.
Yep.
I like it. So let's go over to Sally's. Woo. And she's FaceTiming her mom. Now, this is very important. And I need you to help me. Okay. This is very, very important.
Sally, I don't know if I can help you with this one.
We're going to try to help her.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, no, that's definitely not going to work.
No, we're going to try to make this not as bad as I think it might be. All right. So she's talking to her mom. Nothing wrong with that. And I also have no issue with that's the thing. What she's attempting to do and what this storyline is, I have no issues at all. Go have fun. Go tear Charleston up. Bang Craig. I don't care. If Austen breaks up with Audrey and you bang him the next day, I don't care either. It's the announcing it beforehand that's the problem. And it's the way you're handling this whole thing with Venita and Craig that's the problem. I have no issue with the actual goal. Now, here's my thing. So she says to her mom, yeah, like, oh, I got all of Craig's clothes in this closet. Like, more of these clothes are Craig's. I don't care about the clothes on the floor. Are the clothes that, you know what I'm going to say? Are the clothes that she's wearing Craig's?
Yes, I think so.
So you're telling me that you got home at 5 a.m., went to bed, all fine, in Craig's clothes, fine, no problems yet, woke up, got ready to film, and made the conscious decision to keep Craig's clothes on.
Well, wait, in this scenario, what you're painting, you're saying that she was at Craig's again last night.
She was.
I think she's still referencing the pool party from the night
No.
or a couple nights prior.
No, her and Charley went. No, her and Charley both.
Oh,
went to
right.
Craig's.
Yeah. All right. I misunderstood that part.
Okay.
The fact that stood out to me was I feel like I've got more of Craig's clothes here than my own.
Right.
So there was a whole pile of it. She's been there how many times? If we're to understand, twice. But now
Clearly
she's got
more.
a whole pile of Craig's clothes. And yes, I do agree with you. I do think that she was wearing Craig's clothes. Now I know,
So
a lot of people wear that fit here and there, whatever. But yeah, she definitely does. So that means that she caught the bug hard. And I do think that we're getting to that point, and I think she's going to have like a psychotic breakdown if he doesn't have sex with her soon. Because if she doesn't, I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
To make the decision, if she's wearing Craig's clothes, right? Again, if
Let's just
those
say she
are
is.
his clothes,
Let's just say she is.
that's a choice. You're putting something out in the ether. You want Craig to see you wearing his clothes. So that was that's a choice. That's a big choice that you made to do that.
Now, a lot can happen between now and when Craig actually sees this scene.
Sure.
I don't know how it's going to go for you, but that's a big thing to do.
That's all I'm saying. Like to film in his clothes. That's a statement that you're making. Just putting that out there. Again, the overall goal, totally fine. Across the board. Even the Austen shit, once again. It's the announcing it. It's the way you're going about it with Venita. And maybe her brain is just so in a pretzel now that she's like, maybe if I do this, like we can hook up. I don't know. But it's fascinating. I think it is fascinating. Like that was the first thing I was like, oh no, there's Craig's clothes still. Like that's a choice. Anyway, her mom's a good sport. She even brings up like the menage a trois shit, which was kind of funny. But anyway, we move on from there and we get Madison with Hudson. Hudson's fucking cooking steaks. Kid's awesome. I love that scene. So they're just shooting the shit. It's just a lovely scene between mom and her son getting ready for the baby. How's Hudson doing? It's a little check-in, a little family check-in with Madison.
A little family check-in. We love these.
Especially with Madison, Brett, and Hudson.
Yeah.
It's great fam.
It's great. They're settling into their new house very nicely.
And they deserve that house. Well done, Madison. Craig and Charley. I like them together, actually. They make more sense to me than Sally and Craig.
Definitely.
Personally. So Charley goes over to Craig's to bring some paintings over. And I was wondering, actually, how Austen and that whole thing went down, how that would affect, because Charley seemed to have more of a visceral reaction to Craig, being just kind of like rolling her eyes and being turned off by the whole thing. So I was actually wondering if it would have affected them. It didn't, clearly, because she goes over there with the paintings. She's just very level-headed. Like, she seems very calm, cool, collected. She's like, yeah, I like Craig, but like, you should put in some effort, like make some initiative. Show me that you're into me. Clearly he is, but I want him to show me he is.
I took this, and I might be giving Charley too much credit because we don't really know her that well, but this seems like a very savvy move, especially for a show like this. You know that you have an in with Craig, either through the paintings or just the fact that he clearly likes you. You can actually sit down and have a real conversation with him. You got him in a sober moment. He's decorating his house. Yes, he still thinks about this. And I don't remember if we talked about this. We've done so many episodes today, earlier or in a different episode, but you have him in a spot where he thinks you're still flirting with him. Like, oh my God, she's coming on to me. This is how it works. If I have to hear that he goes through a slow burn one more time, I'm going to pull my fucking hair out. But he does think that you're coming over as a little bit of a sign. All right, we're going to flirt a little bit. You can use that to your advantage to actually have a conversation with him, to actually put him in a spot where he has to answer for some of the shit that he's done. All right, let's talk about the other night. Did you apologize to Austen? Did you even try to? Did you call out to him? I love that she just ripped the Band-Aid off right away. Rather than just like mixing it up and doing this, they'll figure it out, because we've seen that for years. We need somebody who's on the inside, and we only really have Madison, especially when it comes to Austen, that can sit down and have these conversations where we finally get somewhere and at least get someone to understand their role that they played in this a certain situation. Charley can do that. Sally can't do that because Sally is, there's blinders on either side. I only want to bang Craig. I'm not worried about what he does otherwise. Once that happens, maybe things will go to the wayside. But Charley's in a good spot here because she can have this conversation with Craig, and she knows, at least she thinks, he's not going to blow up at her. So what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, and their conversation shifts to Austen, obviously. And she's like, "Did you apologize?" He's like, "Well, yeah, no, you didn't. You apologized with a yeah, but at the party." Granted, Austen's not talking to either Craig or Shep at the moment, understandably so. But you do get some insight into where the disconnect is. Because Craig is saying, "Why does me hanging out with you and Sally bother Austen so much?" It doesn't. The root of all of this is you and your personality shifts. That's what he is alarmed with. That's what he's upset with. Craig always tries to find a specific reason, something that actually occurred around him
Yeah.
to blame for things rather than say, "Oh, it's because I'm Jekyll and Hyde right now. It's because I was on a peaceful healing journey and now I'm a drunk asshole again." That's why Austen is not thrilled. That's why Austen's being mean. That's why he's taking jabs. It has nothing to do, like, yeah, could it be a tinge of jealousy ever so slightly to get him to make a jab? Yeah. But the aftermath, he's not mad that you're hanging out with Charley and Sally at all. He's
Yeah.
mad at your overall demeanor and how you're treating people. That's the
Yeah.
root, Craig.
That's the takeaway that he needs to get, and I don't know where he's going to get that from. I think that this is a good case right now where we can have somebody like Charley. Like I said, he likes Charley, and I think that he would sit down with Austen just to prove to Charley, I can do this. I can be the
But
bigger
again,
man and
but
actually
again, that's
talk.
on behalf of somebody else. It's a great
It's
point, but
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what he's going to do, because that's what he always does. It's just an endless cycle. But the aftermath can be the same. We can still get what we need. We can get that resolve if we have that. And putting this scene right before Madison and Rodrigo sitting down with Austen, completely different tone over there. But we can at least have some sort of sit down with these dudes who just can't fucking speak. They just simply can't get deep enough to understand what the problem is, whether they're jealous, whether they want to just be petty, or they just can't get out of their own way. I don't know. I can't answer that. We tried to make sense of it earlier. It doesn't make any sense. But at the very least, having somebody like Charley come in, and then we already know on the other end, we've got Madison and Rodrigo, to force them to talk about what they're feeling and what they want from the other one and why they're mad at the other one. And then having that result in some sort of sit down where they can just, I don't care if you just completely word vomit all of the things that Charley said, all of the things that Madison said, and then try to get to some resolve at that point. That might be the only way that this works. It really might be, because if you don't talk to either of them and you just let them go, they're never going to talk. We're just going to get more of the same that we've got in the last 3 seasons.
exactly. So let's get on to Austen. He's getting his cats, so he's getting all ready. He's got the litter box and all that shit. And Madison gives him a call. And he's like, "I'm trying to not be sad with 2 beautiful women coming into my life," which is very funny. But
Very funny.
he invites Madison to come on over so she can yap with him and Rod and meet the cats. And before we get to all of them together, we get Shep and Molly at Shep's favorite spot, this dog
Mhm.
bar that he frequents. He's in shambles.
He
He's not
really
doing
is.
well. He's very upset at this whole thing, so much so that he's still not focused on the Craig part of it. He's like, "I know that's an issue that I'll deal with, but like, Austen won't talk to me. He won't return my calls." And that it takes a long time of watching this show to get to know Shep,
Yeah.
right? And you told me that a long time ago when I started watching this, because I didn't like him and I didn't like the show. I do believe that Shep has a good heart. I really do. I think he's an idiot and gets in his own way, but I think that deep down he does care about his friends. That's really all he has. I think he cares a lot about these people in his life. So I think when somebody's mad at him, he's probably one of those people similar to myself that like cannot move on until there's some kind of resolution.
Right.
So he's trying to pick Molly's brain. Like, I don't know, like, how do I do? I've called him. He won't answer my calls. Like, I feel terrible. And yes, by trying to figure out how to get through to Austen, he actually gives the best breakdown of the men on this show that has ever happened. He literally explains either men in Southern Charm or men in Charleston as a whole, because
Yeah.
he goes, we know how to press each other's buttons, and then we weaponize and share information to hurt one another. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, Shep. Exactly. Good job.
Somebody had a breakthrough, at least. We haven't really
massive.
gotten there with everybody else, but Shep got a breakthrough, and he can do that and also shine a light on his own insecurity, worried that Austen and Craig are going to make up and he's going to be left out. Again, Shep wasn't part of this necessarily. Yes, he did tell Craig something, but that is a deep-rooted insecurity that he has, and I think it tells you a lot about Shep. And
Yeah.
also, I love him and Molly together as friends. I'm
Same.
not shipping them,
Friends.
but I love them together as friends. They were on Watch What Happens Live the other night too, and they had a great time. But Molly can talk some sense into Shep, and she can get him to be vulnerable. And if this is what we're getting from Shep, this makes the most sense. This
Yeah.
is one of the 3 guys that has finally cracked something and telling us, this is what I'm worried about. This is what happens every time. We always do this. We find out information. We weaponize it against each other. But now I'm worried I'm going to be the odd man out. That sucks. I feel bad for Shep because he didn't do this. He didn't throw himself into the ring. He didn't just jump on a table and start yelling at them saying, I could ruin your life. Craig did that to him. So yes, of course, now naturally he's worried that Austen's not going to be able to see that this isn't really his fault, that it's Craig's fault. And now he's going to be left out because Austen's going to just move on. Because yeah, the vibe right now is Austen's looking at the 2 of you, not just Craig, and saying, I don't think that I want to be friends with you guys anymore. I think I want to move on with my life and try to find some happiness. And I can't do that while I'm with you guys. And I think I might just need to do that. And Shep is really upset about that. Now, obviously, Shep does want his single drinking buddies. He does want his single guys in Charleston who are still, late 30s, early 40s that are going to go party with him and go hit on chicks.
Yeah, the young
But
crew.
there's more to be said here.
There is. That was a great breakdown. And it's really funny that of the 3 dudes, Shep had the breakthrough.
Yeah, I know.
He's not even involved, but he had the breakthrough.
He got involved. He should still be in a tizzy, and he still is for a lot of this, but he was still somehow able to take something away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
Whereas the 2 guys who were mostly involved are just in their own way, and they're just trying to have other people talk them through it.
And now Austen has lumped Shep in with Craig just because Craig threw Shep under the bus. Again, Shep was wrong for sharing the information, but he acknowledges that too.
Yep.
I didn't tell him, or I wasn't the one that told Austen, but like I shouldn't have told Craig. I'm like, this is remarkable, Shep.
It's good stuff.
You went to Costa Rica for a month and did ayahuasca and didn't have any breakthroughs like this.
No.
He just took a chat with Molly. Nice
impressive.
job, Molly. So let's get back to the cats. And we're recapping the dinner. And I think Madison, especially sober Madison, is able to really shed something that we haven't been able to do ever when Craig's been in this position, because usually other people are drinking. So you get like a stone cold sober look at this whole thing. And it allows her to get deeper, I think, into the conversation and say, Craig, over the last few years, like I looked up to him. I think everybody did. And like we were talking about it over the last couple of years. So like to hear somebody like Madison, who you just assume is, top of the pile always, say that even she was looking up to Craig is really interesting. And it's also helps give her, and it gives her argument a lot of weight, because as she goes in to dissect this whole thing, it makes even more sense because she's looking at it from last year you were doing all these great things. Over the past few years, you've been making these great moves. You've been improving your life, business first, relationship first, stopping drinking, taking care of yourself, things that we can all look up to. But instead of looking at it as up the real Craig's back, which I think it's easy to fall into that. I know that my frustration has gotten me to that point.
Yeah.
She looks at it like, you're really going to throw away all that work, Craig. Like you were in a better place. Like she is giving him props while also criticizing what's currently going on. But she's saying, like, why on earth would you go back to that? And that's the question I think we all want to ask is like, why would you want to be this guy when you were previously this guy?
I think it's also really important that she's doing this in front of Austen too, because it's going
Agreed.
to allow him to get the context of what's rattling around in his brain. Because I do think that that's where Austen is. I think that
Mhm.
Austen is sitting there trying to figure out exactly how he wants to go about this and exactly why he's so mad at Craig. Because I think deep down he realizes, yeah, there is probably some, issues here and there that I am making these comments about, and it does really ruffle my feathers. And I do want to be friends with Craig, but you know what? I have to be able to sit there and say it's okay if I'm not. But the fact that Madison's able to sit there and Rodrigo's able to sit there, very calming presence, and they're able to also say, we're trying to come to grips with who Craig is. We're trying to come to grips with what's going on with Craig and how he's bouncing from personality to personality. And I think I kind of have an idea, and it's Madison. And it's Madison who he looks up to the most right now, who's able to put this into words that probably explains exactly where Austen is right now, that he's not able to do that for himself because he's too close to the situation. So it is important having Madison, having that sober look, and also having her say, I was looking up to him. I saw him go
Yeah.
through all this, and I was so proud of all the changes that he made. But here, it was a sham. That's got to give so much credence to Austen, who's just been struggling so much trying to figure out who Craig is and who their friendship is, that now it allows him to just kind of like release his inhibitions in such a
Yeah.
way where now all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what it is. Okay. I'm coming to grips with it, but I can't really figure it out because deep down, I just want to be friends with him. So that's why I always keep going back. That's why I overlook these things, but I'm not able to have a full conversation with him where I can say all of these things. So yeah, I know it is like a little ghost righty in a way, but that's what I hope comes of this between Charley talking to Craig and Madison and Rodrigo sitting down with Austen. Now they at least have an idea. You have Craig in the room because he just wants to impress Charley. And now you've got Austen there who's well equipped now after talking to Madison and Rodrigo.
Yeah.
He can now discuss it. Yeah, maybe
Hopefully.
we'll see how it goes. He does tend to, start off strong and then just falls apart. But at least it gets us in the door. Maybe. We'll have to see how it goes in the next episode or the episode after. But at least we have some semblance of Austen kind of understands what's going on now.
Yeah, and I think it also has to be validating because again, in years prior, it's been much like he's always had Madison on his side for sure.
Yeah.
But in years prior, it has been more of a neutral situation where people are
Yeah.
commenting from both sides. Like, yeah, I get it, Austen. Yeah, I get it, Craig. Because it's getting so polarizing and because people are picking sides, Austen's able to sit there and hear from Madison, from Rodrigo, from Venita. Oh, you guys see this shit too? It's not just me. I'm not
Yeah.
losing my mind. Okay, great. So he's going to feel supported, which rather than that fueling him to get more upset, it might allow him to take a deep breath and analyze the situation and come to terms with what he wants to say to Craig. Take that
Right.
with what Madison said, bang. Now you can go in there with a game plan. And that's about the
That's all
best
we
we can
want is a
ask.
game plan. Yeah.
Right. Whether it goes through or not, is a different story. But we have a plan of attack now. So
We do.
I think that we're going to finally get to the bottom of the Austen Craig thing. For better or worse, it may result in them not being friends. It may result in them being besties again. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to watch this whole thing play out.
Yeah. But this is at least a different perspective than what we're used to dealing with Austen and
Correct.
Craig. It does seem like because everybody else is involved and they know what they're doing, and it seems like it's setting in at some point, it could at least get resolved to a point where we don't have to deal with it every single time.
Right. And that's all we can ask for. So,
Yep.
time will tell, everybody. Time will tell.
Yes, it will.
We will be here to report about it because we're journalists. So,
Reporters.
yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope.
Oh, 5 hours in this chair. That's our show. Bro's got to go.